Welcome into the WCS Coaches Show. I'm District Athletic Director Patrick Whitlock. Our game of the week this week is Columbia Central at Independence, and I have the head coach of the Independence Eagles here with me, Coach Scott Blade. Welcome into the program.
Thanks. Glad to be here.
Absolutely. So, week one, you score a 37-23 win over Rockvale. Last week, a tough, disappointing loss, 23-21 to Lincoln County. How would you assess your team's play the first 2 weeks of the season?
Yeah, they're getting better. I know the score didn't reflect it last week, but they're getting better, and at times there's really good play, like they've been doing it for years. And then there's times that the fall off or the execution, it's just not part of their DNA yet. Meaning we just got to rep it more. We just got to give them more looks. I got to do a better job with putting them in better more comfortable situations. But that's really proud of the team and how far we've come so far. As you pointed out, a little disappointing on the outcome of last week, but doesn't change that we're proud and we're staying the course and excited about tonight's game against Columbia and the chance to get better even still.
So you stepped away from being a head coach for 3 years.
Yeah.
Were you tempted to come back to the coaching profession earlier, or is this just really good timing at Indy?
No, actually, I was just talking with Coach White last hour, and we were talking about timing and where we're at in our lives. And honestly, the first 2 years, I was not, I could not have been further away. Had a chance to step back, do some things during those time of the year where my schedule wasn't interlocked into the football schedule and the school schedule. Had a chance to expand my brain and do something new and prove to myself I can do something new and I'm not just a football coach, and really enjoyed that experience. So I had no thought that I would ever be back in coaching. And then a year ago, it came up that a young man that I respected and wanted to see do well got the head job at Lipscomb, and was offered a chance to come in and see that program get started and under his tenure, and really enjoyed it. And then as the season goes, you kind of miss being the one that's making the decisions, and you get those juices going again, albeit you're not dealing with the stress as a head coach, right?
Right.
And all that stuff. So, and then this opportunity came up, and it's a community that I love and have so many positive memories in. I've lived there for 15 years. It was a chance to say, I got one more rebuild in me, I believe, and I think this is a perfect opportunity and perfect time in my life, and here we are.
So you've had tremendous success as a head coach. Won a state championship at Hillsborough, won one in your previous stint in 2015 at Indy. We've had a couple of situations in Williamson County where coaches have been at a school, gone away, come back. Will Hester comes to mind at Ravenwood, Ron Crawford at Brentwood, and now you here at Indy. What makes the Indy job special and unique to you?
The people, and it starts with our principal, Dr. Patton. She is one of a kind. She is incredible. I really enjoy her vision and working with her. Dr. Weiss, our assistant principal in charge of athletics, incredible. These are tireless workers that care about athletics. They care about the community and our school as a whole, but they know the relevance athletics plays in that. Our athletic director, Coach White. So these are the people that I deal with in the admin role on a daily basis, and love working with them. Okay, they're the best. I love the community. I'm part of the community, and my kids went there. So there's, for me, that was the tipping point. Is just the familiar of what it took the first time to get that that engine up and running, and feeling like I can do it again in a familiar place, in a place that's special to me, the place that I want to see be successful. And I want to see these kids experience what some of the real good teams in the past got to experience, which is incredible memories that last a lifetime.
So let's talk a little bit about your team. Matthew Horner, your quarterback, has put up really good numbers. Also a very tall kid, I believe about 6'6". How would you rate his development so far this season, and what do you think his ceiling is?
Yeah, well, I can tell you the ceiling is kind of unknown, just because we're just scratching the surface of what he's able to do. We've got this is really the first year that he's kind of gone through this type of offense that has a different read progression, if you will. We're making throws all over the field, and he's got checks at the line of scrimmage. He's got to communicate everything. So there's a pre-snap checklist and a post-snap. During the snap, the read. So he's got a ton of different things on his plate, and I think when it slows down for him, he's going to be able to digest this thing and really just tear it apart. Right now, it's still new. It's still. Oh man, I missed this one, or that's what the read was, right? And I went opposite of it. So he's seeing that. He's a very smart kid, seeing that thing mature right in front of him. And we've got we got terrific players. Ethan Langerbanes is another one that is a developing young quarterback, developing as well. He'll get some time tonight as well. So we like our quarterbacks. And we know that the success of this team, a lot of it runs through the quarterback making the right decisions. So that's a process. That does not come overnight. It doesn't come in 2 games. That comes over time when the game starts slowing down with more reps and more experience. So we like our quarterbacks. Matt's had a good start for us these last couple of games, and we expect him to keep on the upward trend for sure.
Now, would you say with the changing of system, quarterback, is that the toughest position on the field that has to adjust to a new system? And if so, what are some of the things he's done to kind of speed that process up?
Yeah, absolutely. It is the toughest one because the routes, and then the second would probably be the routes, because the routes are not just black and white. They depending on the coverage, they evolve. Depending on the leverage points of the defender, the routes evolve. But he's got to be able to see that. He's got to be able to recognize zone versus man. He's got to recognize blitzes, when to get rid of that ball in our hot read, when he's got a little more time. And the other part of it is pocket presence too. Pocket presence is both of our quarterbacks are taller. We want them to be able to stand tall in that pocket and just go through their progression. And know when to step up, when to step back, when to step to the side, and not just give up on a play and run and just bail on the play and run for the sideline type of thing. So again, those are some things that those guys got to learn and feel comfortable growing with. And when they do that, it's really it really is a fun offense. It's a fun tempo change up. And I think once they master that and once they get really comfortable, then this thing really takes off.
Now, another guy that's had a pretty big year for you, at least so far, is Hunter Mullen. Been making plays on both sides of the ball. One of Matthew's favorite targets, but also I believe he had an interception last week. Talk about his contributions to the team.
Yeah, Hunter Mullen is our bell cow on offense. What I mean by that is he's a guy that even us coaches yesterday said we have to get him the ball more. There's certain guys that you just want the ball in their hands, what they do with it. They're electric. They understand football, so they understand leverage and weaknesses in a defense. And so that's hard to teach. We only have a couple of those guys that really get it. But in years past, Nate Johnson, TJ Sheffield, those type of kids, you had to find a way to get them the ball. And we got to do a better job. That starts with me. I got to do a better job of getting the ball in his hands more, just because he's electric with it. He can do a whole myriad of things. You'll actually, if the situation arises, you might see him at quarterback tonight, and kind of the wildcat type of thing. We're going to find a way to get the ball in his hands more, and if that means a direct snap from the center, then so be it, because he is the one guy that can flip the switch in a hurry.
Now, at Media Day, you talked about, you kind of threw out a little comparison. You said this team kind of reminds you of the 2015 team, which is pretty high praise. Andrew Bunch, you mentioned Nate Johnson a minute ago. As you kind of look at that, what are some similarities you've seen just through this young season to that team?
Yeah, to clarify that, it was the start of the 15, right? So meaning both units, this 2025 and the 15, they both came off maybe let's call it a disappointing year. So the year 14, we were 6-5. Had a tough year. There's things going on within the team that happened, and it really threw us a curveball. And they never knew. So they never knew what the season would look like, right? And so same with these kids. They don't know. They're putting their trust in me and my coaches that we're going to keep progressing forward. And you never know how that ends up being at the end, but the comparisons become reality when you talk about they're just buying into as best as they can, doing the best they can within the schemes you've provided, and not knowing when they're even doing great. I mean, there's times those first 2 weeks that we played, it looked like as good as any of my teams in the past. And then there's times that, oh my gosh, that's the valley. I call it the peaks and the valleys, right? I tell our team we want to have our standard up here, right? And we got to keep it here. And they're going to go through some ups and downs during the season and during the course of a game. But it's those ones where you go bank, and those valleys are real deep. That's where good teams don't go there, right? They might have the little dip, but they still have their same standard, and they're still progressing along nice. So the deep drops don't kill them, so to speak. And so that's where we got to get to, because there's at times we're doing really, really well, and then there's times that either a missed assignment or a missed tackle or a missed read that eventually those are minimized, right? And now we're playing at a higher level of efficiency. And that's what I mean by comparing those two. I know that's a long-winded answer, but they're both just trying to establish a new standard, right? So they don't even know what that standard is, but they know that this is the read. I'm supposed to run this route. I'm supposed to catch it, get north, and score, right? Here's where I fit as a defense. Everybody's got a job. My job, tackle him if he's in my gap, right? So that's what I mean by, in comparison of those two at the start of the year, because they just don't know where that year is going to go.
So you talk about standards. I know you're a culture guy. That's a big part of what you try and do. How has that evolved since you came back into the fold as the coach? And, what does that look like? What are some things that, Independence does that makes your culture unique?
I think it's a good question. That's a great question. Just being present, and being present. So understanding that, I may not want to be at this morning workout in February when it's 25 degrees, right? And we start at 6 a.m. But you know what? My teammates are there. So I really don't have room for excuses. So maybe I'm a little uncomfortable one day. I'm not feeling well, or I got bumps and bruises or whatever, but still finding a way to push through it. So my cultures are a little bit old school. I'm, 52 at this point, played in the 80s and 90s, and that world is gone. I 100% acknowledge that. That's a world I miss, but it's gone. And we want these kids there's certain things about football that like schemes evolve, scheme change. There's scheme trends, if you will, but there's a couple things that can never change in football. It is a tough, physical, emotionally so mentally and emotionally, as well as physically tough, right? So those things don't change. So you try and build a culture. We brought in the Navy SEALs. Someone I brought back, Jason Kuhn from Stonewall Solutions. I started him in 15. Good friend of mine. He tells a great story. He has a great plan for developing the successful mindset, right? And developing how to deal with adversity, how to, come together with your teammates in time of crisis, right? And he talks about stories of, the human body and the mind being pushed farther than most people can push it, right? But you can still overcome, right? So, I mean, when I talk about culture, I talk about building those things. I talk about understanding sacrifice. I talk about teammates, right? I'm talking about doing your job, right? And being great at your job. And so, I mean, it's not it's probably not a approach that some use now, but that's how we build a culture. And then the kids so far have bought into it, and we'll keep pushing for it, and we'll keep trying to get better and better with it.
Yeah, I'll say, just being out in the community, the word is, you talk to parents, and then sometimes I run into some of your players. Just the mentality seems to be like there's just a lot more confidence within this group kind of moving forward. I think that has a lot to do with your previous success, but also those same kids and parents mention the old school aspect, which, is something that you don't always hear, but it seems like they've embraced that.
Yeah, and I would say this, like we go hard, but we try and love up on them as much and try and, validate as much of their hard work and their commitment as possible. And then we're showing it to them. So when we watch film on Monday, it's, look at this. This is as good as any championship team I've ever been a part of. It doesn't get any better than this. All you guys are moving in unison. You're flying around. You're playing with energy, so the kids can see like the fruits of their labor, so to speak, right? And then they know that us coaches are prayed. That's what we want, right? That. Now do it again, and do it again, right? And then they see, well, we got off track or stopped moving our feet here, got lazy. And this is the result of it. So they're seeing it in a different way, and it's okay. These are correctable. We're never going to be, okay, I can't make you, if you're a 4.9 40, I can't make you a 4.3 40. It's not important, right? It's what can you do to the best of your ability repeatedly well. And I think that's what our kids are responding to. We challenge them in ways, receivers, look, I don't expect you to catch every ball, but I do expect you to make the perfect effort to catch it, right? And that means going up with the hands, framing that ball, face behind the ball, going up strong, right? And when we don't get that, they're held accountable. So we're trying to train their brain. So this is the way to attack things. Again, that confident mindset. And this is the way this is a passive mindset, right? So it's a work in progress. I think they're doing a great job with it. I enjoy practice. I always have. I've always enjoyed practice. Just because you see these kids get a little bit better every day. As you know this, Coach, as some kids, the light never comes on, right? And then it comes on after they graduate, right? Like, oh, that's what he was talking about. And then you see kids where it starts to come on, starts to twinkle, then they get it, right? And now you're in the middle of the season, you're in the middle of a game, right? And you see, boom, there's a click there. And then that person really elevates their whole game and their status amongst the team and everything else once that light just absolutely clicks. So that's what we're trying to get as we progress through this year, trying to get where more of those lights just flicker on and that's what he's talking about, right? And that's what he means. And that's the best part of coaching for me.
No doubt. So as you took over this program, there were probably a lot of unknowns with some of your personnel. We've talked about Matthew Horner. We've talked about Hunter Mullen. At Media Day, you said, the jury is still out on some of these kids. And what I assume you meant by that is like, we think they got a chance to be good. We think they got a chance to be special, but we really don't know. So who are some of those other kids that maybe we haven't heard of in week 1 or week 2 that are starting to make a move, or perhaps tonight they take it to that next level?
Yeah, so the rest of our wideouts are Hendricks Harvey, who's had a big game against Rockville, had a nice touchdown catch against Lincoln County. So it's his first time playing wide receiver. Hendricks Harvey, number 5. George Mayberry, first time playing football since middle school. He's been on the basketball team. He's a junior. He's number 15 on our right side. He is another one that is getting better and better. So again, no real experience at wide receiver. So each week, each rep is a new learning experience for them. And they've continued to go in the right direction. Jordan Gray, another one, played a little bit of DB last year, but it's his first time really playing offense. So they're coming along. Eli Garlington at running back, running in a different run scheme. He and Torrey King, Joshua Nueves, these guys are doing a great job at running back, right? So our offensive line, Siler Green, Caden Liebler, and Wade Matheny were 3 starters off last year. So we really only have, probably on the whole team, probably 5 guys that played a bunch. And they're doing better and better. And then we've got Jonathan Bell, who was a wide receiver last year, is playing some tackle for us. And he's coming along just fine. So we're doing well at those spots. And then look at defense. Really, it starts with the linebackers. And probably those 3 linebackers as a core are one of the toughest groups I've had. So Blaze Katina is doing a great job out at outside backer. And then Colby Barone and Wyatt Young. They're about as active and as physical a group of 3 that we've had. And I really like watching them. They're very productive, and they're getting better each week as a group. Rhett Weiland played a little bit at the end last year at the end of the year, and he's had a great first couple of games. Then we have Chase Forrester and Jeff Whited on the D tackle. They're undersized guys. We move our guys a ton at the interior, and they're getting better and better. Killian, number 51, our other defensive end, he's getting better. It's his first time playing. He's a junior. His first time, starting for the varsity. So again, and then take the corners in the back end of the game. So Braxton Alexander, Godwin Vandery, and then you have Landon Greathouse at the corner spots. They're all just learning this new type of defense too, and they're getting better. And then you have Henry Deming, who plays strong safety, who's playing defensive end at times last year, and he's playing strong safety. And Brody Bullock at free safety with Hunter Mullen going over there once in a while. So there's a whole new group of kids that they're still learning how to play Friday night under the lights, right? And but they're getting better. They're making mistakes, and they're learning from them. And the jury is still out as to who really gets it and who has a star year. But there's plenty of guys on there that can really do some special things.
The Katina, it seems like as long as I've been in Williamson County, which is a pretty long time, there's been a Katina playing football at Indy.
At senior day, we had 4 of them were there. So Steele was the only one. He had, he was with UT. But the other 4, and I've coached them all.
Yeah.
So it's great to see them. So it's great to come full circle with Zion, the one I started with, the oldest. And he actually came and saw me during the school day. We spent about an hour together. And it's great to see those kids. They're 10 years, 12 years removed. And then get to coach the last one. I wish I had him longer because he's pretty dang good.
Yeah, sign of a great program when kids come back, and also when the families kind of stay intact and stay in the program. You don't see that every day in this generation. So let's talk a little bit about the game tonight. Columbia Central comes in 1-1, had a big win over a newer Battle Creek program, then a loss to Dixon last week, 27-17. What are some things that we are going to see out of them tonight? What does your preparation look like? Just kind of give us a synopsis of how this game might play out, or at least some things you'll have to do to make sure it plays out the way you want it to.
Yeah, they have. So they're real big up front. I think one of them is 6'5", 320, one's 6'7", 295, and then a 6'3", 330. So that's 3 of their 5 interior linemen on offense. And 2 of them also play on defense. So that plays into conditioning. And we'll see if we can't, tempo them a little bit to try and get an advantage there, because they definitely have a size advantage. Their skill positions are really good. Some of them are younger, but they're raw and they're quick and they're fast. And as we know in sports, speed kills. Make the wrong mistake and it turns into a track meet. So they're going to be a challenge. The quarterback is active. He makes the right throws, and he also knows when to pull it down. And he's, again, a great athlete. So that part is a little bit schematically. You're going to see trips and a little bit of doubles, a little bit of two backs, similar formations that we run, similar plays. So I mean, on defense, honestly, we're probably going to see a 40 front, and everything we've seen on film is 6 in the box and either a 2-man on one side or a cover 2 and then 2-man on the other side. I think, and we honestly, I don't know. After watching so much film, we see it. We see what we see one week, and it might be their base defense against a lesser opponent, or opponent doesn't do what we do, and then come Friday night, it's a whole different coverage package. I mean, I even saw when Battle Creek ran a double set, they're in cover 3. So okay, what do I want to hit there? So I have different sets of plays and concepts that we like versus the different coverages we get. But we're going to see a big physical team, and we're going to see the skill positions are very fast. So again, for us to be successful, we've got to be able to do what we do and do it well. We've got to be able to hit the open receiver. We've got to be able to make the routine tackles. We got to protect against the deep ball. And then we've got to be able to win on special teams. So I know that's a lot of coach talk or whatever, but that's typically what it is. Those will be all, and win the turnover battle. We've, knock on wood, we've been pretty good the last 2 weeks. We've won the turnover margins, but we need to continue that trend tonight.
So in your first 2 weeks, you played a Rockville program that has been, kind of up and down since the inception of the school. And then you played a Lincoln County team that looks a little bit more like the older Lincoln County teams, maybe not quite as good as some of those ones we're used to in like the mid-2000s, et cetera. So you got another non-region game tonight. Couple teams in your region are playing region games. Does your mentality change? Probably not, but do you approach a non-region game a little bit differently, or there's some certain things you're trying to accomplish as you get ready to jump into this gauntlet of Williamson County teams?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, normally maybe I might approach, this year being the first year of startup, it's literally every game is the most important thing, right? And we're just trying to get comfortable in our own skin. And between coaches, we know this is another tune-up, another get ready for region play. We've got 3 big region games in a row coming up right after this. But so it is our final tune-up. But for the kids, and the reality of it is, doesn't matter who's next or who, we got to have, keep moving forward tonight. And if we can keep doing that, win or lose, it'll eventually get to where we're playing really good football. And tonight is just another chapter in that journey, if you will, of just trying to inch further in our development. And we got an incredible opponent to do it against.
Well, Coach, appreciate you coming in today. Like I said earlier, you've had success everywhere you've been, and I have no doubt that that's going to continue at this second stint here at Indy. The game of the week, Columbia Central at Independence tonight, 7 o'clock kickoff. Should be a great atmosphere, as always, down in Thompson Station. Coach, thanks again, and best of luck the rest of this year.
Thank you. Appreciate it. And go Eagles.